Greetings comrades and welcome to the new video. Today I will continue the series where I show you some products and I'll tell you how much they cost where I live in Bulgaria, Eastern Europe. I'll try to compare some prices like before the food costs went up and after that, but today we are reviewing mostly vegetables and there this doesn't apply quite much because as you already know, we produce a lot of vegetables and most of the things I'll show you are local produce. I have like around 10 vegetables which I'll show you, which I buy very often. But if you have ideas for other things that you want to see as vegetables in Bulgaria, what we have here, which I didn't review now, please let me know in the comments and I'll make sure to make a video on that. So let's start. I have a list here of the vegetables I want to speak about and I'll go with the list. The first one of course is potatoes, because potatoes are love, potatoes are life. We consider them vegetables but they're basically roots. Potatoes here are quite cheap, especially when in season. You can have like 50 euro cents per kilogram of nice potatoes. This one that you're seeing right now I've bought from Lidl. They're some kind of baby French potatoes. They're supposed to be expensive, but they were like maybe €1 for a kilogram, which is expensive for potatoes, but I really like them, so I buy them from time to time. But if you go with the big Bulgarian potatoes, they're like a cheaper version. I use them mainly, especially these small ones, I use them for boiling. I prepare them like on the weekend. I have some food prepared for the week that way, and typically I will just saute them with some herb, with some spices and with some butter, and this becomes a very nice and quick meal to prepare during the week. Also it's a very cheap one. For a meal for one person you have like 300 grams of potatoes, which is very cheap. Basically you have like 20 to 30 euro cents for a portion of potatoes.
Тежката зима 68 само на картофи сме я карали, научих са по 55 начина да ги готвя.
Speaking of potatoes and roots, another root that we eat quite often and I use in most recipes, as you may know, is the pointy orange stick of death, also known as carrots. Carrots here are very cheap, especially when they're in season. They're like 50 euro cents for a kilogram. When they're not in season, they can go to €1 for a kilogram. So yeah, very cheap for carrots. And basically currently I don't have carrots at home because I buy them only when I'm going to use them, because typically when I buy a lot of carrots I forget them somewhere in my kitchen and they basically spoil and I hate to throw food away.
Това освен да ги режеш така, става ти за храна за зайците. Поне ще има месо после.
So carrots, I mainly use them for cooking and for salads and buy them only when I need them, and they're very cheap here. Speaking of cooking with vegetables, onions. Onions are maybe the most versatile product on this list. You can use them basically in any recipe. Basically any savory recipe starts with onions. And recently I've heard a podcast from Adam Ragusia where he speaks about onions when he tries to just prepare things without onions, and there was a huge difference. So just use onions in your recipes.
Манджа без лук не става.
And the more onions the better. And onions here, to be honest, they're again very cheap when in season. Even if they're not in season, they're cheap. Like you can get offers like 5 kilograms of onions for €1.50, like big nice onions. I typically don't buy 5 kilograms of onions. I don't use so much onions. I again buy them when I need them. But there's quite a price gap between regular onions and red onions. Red onions are quite expensive, like maybe €1.50 for a kilogram sometimes. But the regular onions, which we most of the time produce here, they're cheap. You can even reach to 30 euro cents for a kilogram when they're in season. When they're not in season, maybe 50-60 euro cents for a kilogram, which is still a very nice deal. But if you want to buy some shallots or some onions which are not typical for our geographic locations, they're quite expensive. I mean, I bought shallots a while ago just to try them. They were like, for 250 grams, they were like €2, which for onions is very expensive. It's like €8 for a kilogram, which basically is the price of meat here. So which we would choose, onions or meat?
16 лева за малки лукчета. Тия франчуля луди ли са, бе?
We went through the onions. Now check my list really quickly. The next thing on my list is tomatoes. And tomatoes are awesome. Especially in the summer in Bulgaria, tomatoes are maybe the tastiest thing you can get, especially big juicy tomatoes which are sweet. They are used to be very cheap back in the day. Now they are not so cheap, but again, for your standards, they may look cheap. The big good tomatoes, summer tomatoes here, €2 for a kilogram. You have these huge tomatoes, which you may see in some of my videos, and they're very sweet. You can just eat only tomatoes and cheese and nothing else. I mean, you don't need nothing else. The other tomatoes, there's some tomatoes for canning. Like we most of the time we can tomatoes in jars for the winter. I don't do that anymore.
А трябва да правиш. Трябва.
We used to do that when I lived in my hometown, but now you can just get canned tomatoes from the grocery and it's cheaper. But when we can them, they're typically some sorts of tomatoes which are mass produced and very cheap. They can get like 25 € for a kilogram, the tomatoes for cans. But the tomatoes for salads and for eating, like they're a little bit more expensive, but it's totally worth it. As I said, €2 for a kilogram for them most of the time. And there are some like other types of tomatoes, like cherry tomatoes, some Turkish tomatoes, mainly they are imported from Turkey, the cherry tomatoes and the other tomatoes, but they don't taste that good. They're somewhere in between of the price. They're like €1.50 for a kilogram. Speaking of tomatoes, most of our salads with tomatoes go with cucumbers. And yeah, someone started knocking with a hammer, so I will return back when they stop. Павел, може ли да спреш за малко, че снимам видео?
Ко викаш?
Видео снимам.
Видео снимаш. Аз ти кажа, аз на те видео не виждаш, че работа имам, бе.
Не. Okay, I think the knocking stopped and it's pretty safe. So cucumbers, they go hand in hand with tomatoes most of the time, or you'd prepare tartar with them, as I've shown you the recipe for tartar. Go check it out. Cucumbers, we used to joke in the winter that they were made out of gold because they were like €5 for a kilogram, because they're winter cucumbers and cucumbers don't grow during the winter.
10 лева за килограм. Едно време с 10 лева цял месец карахме, бе.
But now they're quite cheap. I mean, you can find them for €1.50 for a kilogram, even for €1 for a kilogram, and they're quite nice cucumbers, and I love them basically. They're the most refreshing thing. I mean, you can only eat cucumber like that, and if it's cold, it's very, very tasty and refreshing. So yeah, we prepare salads with them, cold soup with them, and basically we don't use them for cooking. There are some small variety of cucumbers called cornichons. We use them for pickling. I have never pickled myself, but I may try it for you, and I will learn in the process, but I know from my mom that it's quite easy.
Па много ясно, че е лесно. Тъпчеш буркани с отсеки копър и готово.
So yeah, cucumbers. Leaving the cucumbers aside, the other thing which I very much enjoy cooking with is aubergines or eggplants, or we call them blue tomatoes, like in some regions of Bulgaria. And this is the variety which is purple with some white stripes, but we have white ones, we have green ones, we have black ones. There's no huge difference in the texture and in the taste, only like the color. But aubergines, like when they're in season, maybe €1 for a kilogram is a nice price. When they're not in season, €2.50 to €3 for a kilogram, and they're not so good in taste. But when they're in season, every week I have like aubergines in some way. Like I prepare chopo, which we have video on. I just bake them. I prepare some filled aubergines with minced meat, which I may shoot sometime for you.
Everything into pieces. This will be its last
a very
resort.
versatile vegetable. It's one of my favorite vegetables, to be honest.
Печеш го на огън, после режеш малко олио оцет, става перфектно. И магданоз отгоре.
And speaking of aubergines, other vegetable which we eat a lot is zucchini. The zucchini, I currently don't have zucchini at home, but typically we just roll them in, we cut them into circles, like thin circles. We roll them in some flour with some paprika and flour, and we fry them. And we prepare yogurt garlic sauce, and basically you eat them like that. They're like small chips of zucchini. There's healthier version where they're baked. It works too, but the fried one is better and crunchier. The other things that we use the zucchini for, I mean, this is the most popular one, but we fill them with minced meat. It's very tasty. We just cut them and bake them with my wife, or other good thing to do is grill them like on the two sides on the barbecue. It's a very nice vegetable for grilling.
И на това му викам балкански fast food.
After the zucchini, there's of these white carrots, which is known as parsnip, I think. It's quite expensive here. We call it пащарнак.
Аз яш морковите, бе, кадзайците. Хем са по-евтини, хем са по-вкусни.
And I use it instead of fries for baking. It's very tasty just to bake these roots, like the parsnip roots. I love them. They're also nice for soups, like put them into soups, cut very in small pieces. And yeah, it's quite expensive here for our standards. At least it's €3.50 for a kilogram, but have in mind that they have quite strong taste. So if you cook with them, like in stews or in soups, you need just one root. So it's not very expensive for one root, but if you want to make like baked parsnips, you need a lot of them. And they're very tasty. Speaking of root vegetables again, I cannot end this video without mentioning beets. Beets I currently don't have, but last week I prepared a steak, which I will edit soon for you. I prepared some very nice roasted beets with some sheep cheese and some lemon juice and olive oil, which I used as a side dish for the steak. And there again, a very favorite vegetable of mine. And have in mind, don't boil them, because their red juices would go away and they wouldn't taste very good. The baked ones that you should see right now are far superior, and stick to the channel if you want to see how to prepare them very easy.
Това като го готвиш и после едно ръце ти си клал прасе вкъщи.
And we are almost on the finishing line. Another thing is corn on the cob.
Той храна за кокошките и прасетата, бе.
It's very cheap. It's like 30 € for one corn cob, and you just boil it and enjoy it with some butter, or just eat it like that. It's good. And now is the season of the sweet corn, so yeah, we have it just like that and just eat it from the cob. Or you can boil it and after that grill it. It's perfect. And last but not least, I have some green salads, and these are capitalistic green salads from Greece.
Па нямаш ли хубава българска салата, ми гръцка си купи?
These are not our salads because currently they are not much in season. They're more in season like in early spring. But I have these from Lidl. They have like iceberg, romaine salad, radicchio. It's very nice salad. It's already washed and ready to eat. Because of that, it's quite expensive, as you may imagine. It's €6, around 6 or 7 euros for a kilogram. But one package is around like €1.50, and you have like 2 to 3 salads from it. So again, it's quite okay, at least for me. And basically this concludes our vegetable video. If you want to see other vegetables, just propose in the comments, and if we collect 5 or 6 vegetables which I forget to show you, or you want to see how much they cost here, and if we have them, just message me in the comments and I'll be happy to answer and to create a video maybe. This was all from me for today, comrades. I hope this new format of videos is enjoyable to you, and I'll see you next time.